Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. To my bed crimers, hi, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day. To anyone new here, a warm welcome. Thank you for checking out my channel. Let me just ask that after listening to or watching the video, if you find you enjoyed it or learned something, do me a favor, smash that like button and consider subscribing. Also, if you appreciate my work, please consider supporting the channel with a Patreon membership. Now, let's dig in. Bryan Kohberger was back in court today, Wednesday, September 13th. Judge John Judge heard arguments from the defense and the prosecution on banning cameras from the courtroom in this very high-profile case. He also heard arguments from the attorney for the Media Coalition. The two sides, the prosecution and the defense, are asking to restrict cameras. Of course, the Media Coalition wants a pool camera. Kohberger's defense team wants cameras banned immediately and for all proceedings. They claim the cameras are violating their client's constitutional rights. They, of course, want him to have a fair trial with impartial jurors. They are also concerned about the placement of the camera in the courtroom. They don't like where the camera has been so far. They clearly do not want the cameras focused on Kohberger or on them or on documents and images on their table. They said if cameras end up being in the courtroom, then they should be in a different location than they are currently. They also don't want cameras to turn the proceedings into a spectacle or a TV drama. The prosecution also has concerns, and they asked the judge to remove cameras at a minimum during the sensitive testimony of a number of young and vulnerable witnesses. Survivors Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, along with other co-eds and perhaps family members, are among those witnesses who are expected to testify. The state is also concerned about the graphic evidence that is going to be shown during the trial. They say the safest way to address concerns is to prohibit cameras in the courtroom or keep cameras out during certain testimony and evidence. I like the latter stance. The young witnesses deserve to be treated carefully, and it's paramount to keep graphic photos of the victims and their autopsies and the crime scene out of the hands of people who would post them all over the internet. That would be very painful for the victims' families and friends. But Kaylee Gonsalves and Madison Mogan's families want the cameras in the courtroom. They say they want the veil of secrecy lifted from the case. Also pushing for cameras is an attorney for the media. They want the pool camera in the courtroom, and that video would then be shared with all media. But Judge John Judge says he questions whether he can really trust the media to do the right thing, which partially means, I think, to not focus the camera exclusively on defendant Bryan Kohberger. The judge also meant, though, that it's not the camera people, but it's where the video goes after the fact and how commentators talk about it or how it's portrayed in social media. Judge Judge said, quote, "It's not the same media it is now as it was 10 years ago with social media." End quote. He also expressed that he wished everyone had more respect for what's happening and that it's not entertainment, it is a tragic issue. The judge feels that trials with cameras have spun out of control. Judge Judge brought up the O.J. Simpson trial, which he called a circus, and if any of you watched that trial, you know that's true. I watched it religiously, and it was ridiculous at times. We all know what happened with that damn glove. Judge Judge said that the media cannot be, quote, interveners at this point in the proceedings. He wants them to back off. He feels the media have been pushing the envelope, but he said he will consider the media's arguments for the camera to be in the courtroom. And with that, today's hearing was ended without the judge making a definitive ruling on whether cameras can be allowed. He will be mulling it over. One family that will not be at the trial is Ethan Chapin's family. His parents say their presence at the trial will not change the outcome, and so for them, time at the trial is perhaps not time well spent. I believe the Chapins are very focused focused on making sure the lives of Ethan's siblings are not diminished in any way or completely scarred by this horrendous happening in their lives. So for them, they're maybe looking at their 2 college-age kids and saying, we must put our energies over here for these 2 souls. I don't judge them for this in any way. I am very impressed with the Chapin's parenting skills. I admire them so much. That's not to say that I don't admire the other families. Each family has to do what it feels is right for it. So we still have to wait for the answer as to whether cameras will be allowed. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories.